only thing, the boxing people don't know more. The only thing they know is how much the guy runs and trains. But when they come in 2 men in the ring, anything can happen. I don't care what, anything can happen.
See, or he's overrated. And I'm not saying he's that. I'm just saying that it didn't matter enough to go and do what he had to do.
Actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo's making too is he was throwing like one shot and then he was coming back squared.
Mike Tyson didn't hold back after Canelo Alvarez's devastating loss to Terence Crawford, labeling him overrated. Tyson said Canelo appeared ordinary once he shared the ring with Crawford, who dictated the fight with precision and skill. Tyson argued the matchup revealed Canelo was never as dominant as his reputation suggested. While Crawford's display proved he belongs among the sport's all-time greats, Tyson stressed that the loss exposed Alvarez's flaws and confirmed that the hype surrounding him was always exaggerated.
Prime, you gonna catch him?
My man's telling you, but when those guys started beating Chavez was already an old man, though. I gotta get from that, you gotta get him that. You know, he had close on. He got him beaten in like 90-0 before he got beat. Oh. You gotta look at those scenarios too, man.
Veteran trainer Teddy Atlas has long been a sharp critic in boxing, and when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, he has never been reserved. Atlas insists Canelo's reputation has been built up by promoters, fans, and media who declared him the sports king without scrutinizing the reality of his career. He notes that while Alvarez owns big wins, many of his opponents were handpicked, making his resume seem stronger than it really is. For Atlas, Canelo's image as an unstoppable force is more fiction than fact, created through marketing rather than consistent dominance. His central argument is that Alvarez has gained far more from perception and timing than from proving himself against the toughest challenges.
Quite as up in arms. We actually sometimes said he fought a smart fight. But when he didn't fight the kind of fight to make it an entertaining fight against our guy, against the popular Canelo, again, the king, so to speak, then we completely attacked the guy. So I think that that's got to be looked at a little bit, to be fair.
Mike Tyson predicted before the fight that Terence Crawford would outclass Canelo Alvarez. He voiced complete faith in Crawford's abilities and said Bud could defeat anyone. Tyson's stance made it clear he never saw Canelo as unbeatable, instead pointing to Crawford's versatility and dominance as the deciding edge.
Fight. Great fight. Right?
50-50. I want to say Crawford. I say 50-50.
You don't think it's 50-50?
60-40, but you gonna tell him which one?
You think Crawford can stop him?
Crawford can stop anybody. I'm not saying he can't, he's going to, but he can't.
In addition to Atlas, other analysts have expanded on why many view Canelo as overrated. Some reference the shadow of performance-enhancing drug controversies that briefly tainted his career, though his reputation largely survived intact. More critically, detractors focus on the choices Alvarez made after his one-sided defeat to Floyd Mayweather. After that loss, Canelo became selective with opponents, often targeting fighters past their peak or those who posed favorable stylistic matchups. This approach helped him gather titles and remain a superstar, but it left questions about whether he truly sought the best at their prime. By carefully shaping his career path, Alvarez kept his image intact. Yet to skeptics, this strategy showed he sidestepped the defining tests of a genuine all-time great.
Alright, this guy right here is overrated as fuck, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now, early on in his career, when he was the young up-and-coming contender, undefeated at the time, we all remember that infamous match with Floyd Mayweather where he just got dog-walked. Floyd Mayweather completely outboxed him, completely outclassed him. That fight ended up being a split decision, which is crazy because if you've seen the fight with your own two eyes, I don't think Canelo landed one clean punch on Mayweather the entire fight, and it wasn't even close. Also, early on in his career, he was accused and caught cheating performance enhancers. And you know what they say, once a dirty fighter, always a dirty fighter. Even though that's not factually the case, because he was able to move on with his career, bounce back from that loss, bounce back from the cheating accusations, and make like a great boxing legacy for himself. In the court of public opinion, normally with most fighters that are, caught cheating at any point in this career, it always sticks with them. But with Canelo, it seems like everybody forgets. Now, obviously, to this day, he's still looked at as one of the faces, if not the face of boxing. But I think the way people accuse Floyd especially in the back half of his career of picking and choosing his fights, protecting his own, protecting his legacy. Canelo definitely has followed the Floyd Mayweather model. Not only in his game, he became a more defensive fighter after fighting Mayweather, and especially as of late, he's not taking as much punishment, but it's also because he's not fighting very dangerous fighters, and when he does, he gets exposed. One of his also top, more formidable opponents was Triple G, that trilogy. The first fight was a draw. The second two fights, Canelo won by unanimous decision and an ununanimous decision for the third. But I don't think the results, reflected the fights.
When Alvarez finally squared off against Terence Crawford, the flaws his critics had long cited were on full display. Crawford, a southpaw praised for his adaptability, took control from the opening round. He smothered Canelo's offense, keeping him from finding range or rhythm. Alvarez, usually reliant on steady pressure and counterpunching, looked limited against Crawford's slick movement. Analysts observed that he threw isolated shots rather than building combinations and barely used his jab, which made Crawford's control even easier. The gap in skill was undeniable. Crawford shut down everything Alvarez attempted and left him looking tentative throughout. To many, this fight became the strongest proof yet that Canelo's aura as an untouchable star had been overstated.
I think there was a lot that we could learn from both of them. I think there's something that Terence Crawford did very well. He did not allow Canelo to get inside, man. Like, as soon as Canelo would get into that certain range, he would jab him. And then occasionally he would go low. Canelo Alvarez could not pop his. He couldn't get inside because pretty much Bud, he's a southpaw. And I feel like Terence Crawford, I feel like Canelo Alvarez had problems with southpaws, but not just that, dude. It was the range of what Terence Crawford had, dude. And not just that, man. Terence Crawford was actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo was making too is he was throwing like one shot, and then he was coming back squared, and that's when Terence Crawford would actually catch him. We didn't see any like lateral moves where he would throw and maybe push off to the side, as we used to see Canelo Alvarez as what he would do in these fights. Allegiant Stadium, there was a lot of people there. Terence Crawford had the ability to fight backwards and stay composed, good defense, hands was always up, countering everything that Canelo was throwing at him. He was just a little more active fight. Looking at the fight, bro, like, it was competitive. Canelo did hit him to the body, but it was pretty much all Terence Crawford, man. I don't know how many rounds I actually gave Canelo, but I want to see a rematch. Because Canelo did mention, I didn't feel good. Like, my body was just, it wasn't reacting. My mind wanted to, but there was something physically with my body that it just felt different. So, but overall, boxing tends to put these big events, these fights don't show out like the UFC.
Canelo's loss to Crawford sent shockwaves through the boxing world and raised doubts about his future. His tone in post-fight interviews suggested uncertainty, with some speculating that retirement might be on his mind. Crawford's methodical dismantling of Alvarez made it seem as though his reign at the top of the sport had ended. The victory was immediately hailed as historic, not just for Crawford's dominance but also for the symbolic passing of the torch. While Alvarez had long carried the mantle as boxing's leading star, Crawford's showing positioned him as the new standard. The defeat stripped Canelo of his aura of invincibility, while for Crawford, it solidified his place among the sport's all-time greats. For fans, the story changed in an instant. Canelo was no longer the king, and questions about the twilight of his career became unavoidable.
Crawford was going to create history. I told you guys this before he fought Sean Porter. I said that Terence Bud Crawford can beat first ballot Hall of Famer and superstar and legend Canelo Alvarez. I've been saying this for years, that Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And tonight, he did just that. He did just that. Not only did he beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, but he arguably retired Canelo Alvarez, who after the fight, Canelo Alvarez stated that he's done everything that he needed to do in the sport of boxing. When asked do he want a rematch with Terence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez said, it's no need. He gave no indications of a rematch. And Canelo Alvarez stated that he's a Hall of Famer, he's a winner, just being there made him a winner, right? And he stated that he's done everything he needed to do in the sport of boxing. That's what he said. Canelo Alvarez got schooled once again. I told you guys, styles make fights. This style, this particular style of boxers and counterpunchers and movers has historically given Canelo Alvarez problems. And as I told you guys, right? Terence Crawford can fight any which way he chooses to fight. He's just that much more versatile.
Crawford's triumph was more than just another win. It became a landmark in modern boxing. By toppling Canelo, he seized all of the Mexican champion's super middleweight belts, becoming the undisputed champion in yet another division. That feat placed him in rare company, as very few fighters in history have ruled multiple weight classes with such authority. Yet the financial angle also drew attention. Alvarez collected a staggering $150 million purse despite losing, while Crawford, even in victory, earned much less. Commentators like Simon Jordan pointed out the irony of boxing economics. Canelo still made more in defeat than the man who humbled him.
Terence Crawford making history when he came up against Canelo Alvarez and he won it on points in Las Vegas, and that means he takes all of his super middleweight belts, becoming the first fighter in the modern era to become undisputed champion in 3 weight classes. The man to my left was in Spain. Mr. Jordan got out his bed at 5 in the morning and watched it, and he no doubt saw Crawford speaking post-fight.
The great things come to those who wait. You know, the cream always rise to the top. All the time that they blocked me out, they said I wasn't fighting nobody, I can't beat this dude, I can't beat that dude. Every time that I got a chance, I wiped the floor with them. So just imagine where I would have been at today if I had got them opportunities a long time ago. But then again, it wasn't my time. My time is now, and I'm happy that everything played out the way it did, and you're looking at the undisputed champion of the world right now.
That is for sure. Is he the modern day GOAT now, Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you can make the argument for Usyk too. I'm surprised he speaks like that because it's not normally the way he speaks, and the fact that he's got 3 undisputeds means that he must have been given certain opportunities. So I'm surprised he felt the need to say that, but perhaps there was reasons behind it. I mean, Alvarez thought they were going to get him cold because he hadn't fought for 13, 14 months, had some surgery and stuff like that. And the other side of the argument is they've got an Alvarez that's been fighting lesser than opposition. That is not what he once was before. He was there to be beaten by someone of the standard of Terence Crawford, of which they're very few and far between.
That wraps up today's video. Make sure to stay tuned until the next one.